Well, thank you so much for calling me today, Blanco. This is Amanda Cooper with Cola Daily. And, Fort Jackson is one of the largest training installations in the U.S. Army. And to have this spectacular event happening this year with you as the headliner is just like icing on the cake. And we'll be seeing you.
Yes, y'all will. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
Have you ever been to Columbia before? Will this be your first time?
No, I've been before. We used to do shows there when I was a kid. One of the first places I ever performed at when I was around 7 or 8 years old. I was singing background and stuff for my brothers.
So it's kind of like a full circle moment here because I believe you're 38.
Yep, and I probably was in South Carolina when I was 8 years old because I found my deal when I was 7. So 30 years later, I'm coming back to do a show.
Well, like I said, I'm excited to talk to you today. Just like yourself, I'm a big Johnny Cash fan, and of course, I love Outkast, and I know they were major influences in your life. And being from Bankhead in Atlanta, and now where you're at now, could you talk about just that feeling that you feel just making your own way in an industry that most people have a hard time getting into?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have been blessed to do exactly what I love to do: country music mixed with 808s. I grew up in Bankhead, Coast, the west side of Atlanta, Georgia. During the summer, I would go to Butler, Georgia, where my mother is from. And, it went from hood living to muscadine picking and pecan and cracklings being made by my great auntie. You know what I'm saying? Like, didn't spare one part of the animal. So two different worlds, one big love song.
Well, it definitely shows in your music. I love it. I love the fact that you call it Trailer Trap. Blanco Brown, that's your performing name. What made you select that, or was it given to you, or how did you become Blanco Brown?
People used to call me Benny Blanco from Atlanta, Georgia. That came from Carlito's Way, the gangster movie, Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Mm-hmm. He was a clean-cut gangster that got away with everything and did it with deception. That's kind of how I am, but not in a gangster type of way, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But just growing up in the streets. And I dropped the Benny because there was already a Benny Blanco that produced for like Destiny Child, Beyonce, some of everybody, and he's an artist himself. And I went with just the name Blanco. Then I adapted the name Blanco the Ear. And after I signed my deal, Blanco the Ear didn't sound like an artist name to me. My grandfather was adopted, so my government is Benny Amy. And I found out our original name, which was Brown. So I dedicated my last name to my grandfather, Blanco Brown.
Wow, I love it. You created a niche for yourself in the country music industry that nobody else can duplicate. When we talk about the Get Up, did you ever expect that one song would just be the mega success that it has turned into?
I had a feeling that it was going to be a big song, but I had no idea that it would be internationally known and is now the biggest line dance song of all time. I had no idea of that magnitude of what I was doing. I just was trying to create something that made people smile and gave them a couple laughs and a couple joy.
When you were making the song and choreographing the steps, how did you even get up, with the giddy up, just all of it? How did you put all that together?
I was making up the dance as I was writing the words. I just wanted to make sure everything flowed together. Afterwards, I had a few tweaks. They worked. I tell you one thing, though. I hadn't done a whole dance as a whole, and when I finally did, I about passed out. I was tired.
One of the songs that I love, of course, everybody loves Get Up, but my personal favorite is Nobody's More Country Than Me. And it seems like when I was watching the video, when I hear the song, it takes me back to Butler, Georgia with you because it makes it feel like you're there again. Was that your inspiration?
My inspiration were all the country experiences that I grew up having and loving. The noodling, got tricked into noodling, put my hand down in some water and the catfish came up. I almost lost my mind. Just being around the country atmosphere, going from sitting on a generator to sitting on a propane tank.
Yeah.
The single wide trailers, the AC in the window, and in the hood we used to have the fans in the window, so it wasn't that much of a difference. Just two different struggles. But hey, look at what it made. I'm happy with the life I have and what I've been through in order to get to where I am.
Well, you have a wonderful life. Like when you perform here, a little birdie told me that you're going to be doing something a bit special for folks. You're actually going to be remaking iconic songs.
Oh yes, I've redone Country Roads, and I've trailer trapped it out, and I'll definitely be performing it on the 1st. It's gonna go down.
What was it like to be asked to remake that song?
I felt honored to actually have the stems and actually could listen to John Denver's takes. That's amazing to me, like to experience that, because I mean it's so much history that was in that room that day they recorded it. I get to live through it and be a part of that song and the journey and bringing it to the world in this generation, people that may not know it, so I'm just blessed to actually have the honor of recutting the song and being approved by the estates to have the master stems of the original session in order to cut them. Like, that was a blessing in itself.
I mean, it really was. That's truly just creating a whole new level of legacy for your career. You're from Atlanta, which is also where Lil Nas X is from, and having so many different artists with their own unique style and flair just branch out and just expand worldwide is just a testament to the type of creativity and just talent that exists down in there.
One little fact, Lil Nas X, he's from Bankhead too, and his parents and my parents went to school together.
I thought he was from like Stone Mountain,
no, he's straight from the project. The same project I grew up in, he's from, and his dad and my dad have done church services together and stuff. My dad was an MD for a little bit, so he did like Coretta Scott King's funeral and a few things. And Lil Nas X daddy also sings too.
You come from an interesting background. So your dad did the funeral services for Coretta Scott King down at
Ebenezer. My uncle was signed to LaFace Records, and they were deemed to be one of the biggest male groups of all time. And I mean, they just didn't finish out their career the way they wanted to, but they actually have write-ups of being compared to the Temptations and some of the best male groups of all time. So, I mean, I grew up on the tour bus with Pebbles and L.A. Reid, Craig Mack, Usher, some of everybody. You
have been in the music industry, like you mentioned, since you were 7, 8, performing, traveling, and you've worked with various artists. I know I read that you've worked with Pitbull, Chris Brown, Childish Gambino, Monica, and so many others. Are you looking to collaborate with any other new artists in any type of new future music that you have coming out?
I'm looking to work with anybody that's dope. I don't have anybody particularly in mind.
One person that you work with that I think is pretty dope was T.I. with Trap Still Bumping when you guys rode in Georgia Dome on the horses and you performed during the Falcons halftime. That was huge. I mean, what did it feel like doing that where you're from with someone in the same neighborhood that you come from?
Oh, it felt amazing. I mean, like, real street legend, real industry legend. We got to do something great together and make a stamp in the music industry that will live forever. Man, I'm talking about he from Bankhead, I'm from Bankhead. I grew up in Bankhead Colts, went to Alfred Blaylock Elementary. My parents from Harper. I think it was Harper Archer when they was going, but I mean, it was just magical to me to go to the studio, sit down in the room. He walked in the studio, which I was working out of his studio, Super Sounds, and tell him I had a song that I would love him to jump on. And I gave him 3, and he sent all 3 back within my one session.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I mean, I know High Horse was a song that you, Nelly, and Breland both all kind of collaborated on. What did it feel like working with artists that had the same similar journey as yourself?
Working with Nelly, I actually vocal produced Nelly for years. I mean, like, just some years of just vocal production. And getting in the studio with him and working was just dope to actually have a song with him.
And Breland, he's emerging into this new genre. What are your words of advice to him when you had the opportunity to speak with him?
I really didn't have any words of advice except for stay true to what you love and do what you love at all costs. It's an interesting story with him, though, because the My Truck song was actually written for me.
Wow.
By him and like a good 6 or 7 people, Troy Taylor, and the list goes on of the songwriters. And at that time of my career, the get up was the biggest thing out. I ain't have time to really, give other records the attention because I had an EP out and an album on the way. So I told him just to keep his head up and keep it going. No matter what you do in this life, don't look for people to make you relevant. Do what you love and love what you do in all that you do. And he's a heck of a songwriter. So I know he'll always be all right. You know what I'm saying?
He will be all right. I love it. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. I know one of the names that they call you is Blanco the Ear. They say you have the ability to listen through a song and once and tell exactly what's missing. That's a gift. A lot of people don't have that. But you possess it. How would that help further your career and help others?
Oh, man. I mean, I always try to be the one to bring the party in the room and get it done in a record amount of time while having a high-quality product. And I'm grateful. I don't know where the gift, got developed at what part of my life, but I could actually, honestly listen to a song one time down, and I remember exactly where in that song it needed more backgrounds, an ad-lib, a harmony, stronger vocals, more feeling. One take, I started dissecting the whole record, and I know exactly what points we need to touch. It's my gift has been gracefully used for several different artists to bring out the best song and sound possible, the best emotion. And I mean, the list goes. I mean, I can just start naming one or two or three people, but the list goes on for a little bit of just what my purpose has been in developing into the purpose of what I have and what I know I live for.
It's interesting that you've mentioned the word purpose. I said I follow you on social media, and I saw in one post you put love is purpose. And it seems like you live that mantra every day with everything that you do.
Yes, definitely. You got to choose purpose and live for it and live through it. It's the only way that you'll actually find peace and joy within your life. It wasn't until I found my purpose that I knew exactly what I stood for. And when I knew what I stood for, I could give that part of my life and my love more energy instead of trying to put pieces together. They all fell into place.
Could you talk more about when was that defining moment?
I found purpose earlier in my years after going through so much negativity. I told myself what I didn't want and what I wanted in life. And then the thing that kept on sticking with me and stuck with me to this day was, hey, man, you got a testimony and you have pastor blood in your spirit, but you don't really want to be a pastor. How else do you get that point across? And I decided to make positive music, and during my shows, I give my testimonies and let people know that manifestation is the biggest salvation in life, and you manifest it, see yourself through. When I say those words and when I see the reactions of people's faces and I get the inboxes and the prayers, it lets me know that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.